This is the greatest thing I've ever accomplished. And it all started back to when I found a world-class hypnotist to see if hypnotism was real and if I could hypnotize myself to actually break a world record. And spoilers, hypnotism is real, but it's not what I thought it was. So I started simple, by hypnotizing myself to beat my plank record of 15 minutes, and it worked. I got a new record of 15 minutes and 30 seconds after not having held a plank for a year, but this was on Friday. Let's rewind back to Sunday, because I promise whatever you're thinking about this challenge right now, it's actually 100 times crazier than you think and might actually change your life. Sunday was the day after my bodybuilding show, something I was training 6 months for, and what's important to know is that up until this point, I was eating 1,500 calories a day and no carbs. That day after the show, I started training for the world record, which I was going to attempt in about a week and a half. The record I'm trying to beat is doing more than 106,377 steps on a Stairmaster in a 24-hour period, something no one in the world has ever done before. So on day one, my goal was to do 2 hours on the Stairmaster and around 10,000 steps, and by the 15-minute mark, I was already sweating. I had a plan to build up to the world record over the next week and a half, with hard training days and some rest days in between. However, on top of that, I also needed to find the optimal way of actually performing it. So this is my friend Alexander, who helped me out with my nutrition. Because I was going to be burning an absurd amount of calories, I needed to train my body to consume a ton of calories at once after have only eaten around 1,500 calories a day for a very long period of time. And I also needed to figure out which foods would be the easiest to eat while having to actually eat it on the Stairmaster.
It's Monday, June 26th, and it's already 2 o'clock and I haven't eaten anything. I need to eat 4,000 calories today in order to keep up to schedule, and I need to drink like 5 liters of water.
So I bought a ton of food, mainly junk food because it's full of carbs and easier to eat. And my plan was on day 2 to switch which foods I was eating every single hour. That day I successfully did about 15,000 steps over the course of 3 hours, but I still had a long way to go.
Alright, did 3 hours. Here's the amazing part, is that by the end of the day, I will have burned 5,000 calories, but I've only eaten 3, so I could eat more. Okay, this is really interesting. First of all, I'm so hungry, so I'm making a protein shake. But I've noticed something. I have so much energy. Like, I can just, like, book it right now. Like, I can go on, like, a run. I'm in a deficit, so I'm not going, like, I should be relaxing. But I can think so clearly. I have so much energy. I just did 3 hours on the Stairmaster. You'd think I'd be tired. I'm not. I'm gonna do level 16 today. We'll see what happens. I wore a long sleeve so that it's different, so that you don't watch my videos and say he fakes it. So I'm wearing something different today.
But by this point, I only did 4 hours and 22,000 steps. I was really far from the world record. So I took a day to rest, and on day 5, my plan was to go for 6 hours straight. The next thing I needed to do was figure out which type of shoes would work best for this. So I headed out to buy a few.
Okay. Trying to do 22 hours straight on the Stairmaster, and I'm wondering what
sounds crazy to me, but alright.
I appreciate it. What do you think is the best shoe for that?
Just like last time, I decided to switch it out every single hour, and the shoe that won actually surprised me.
We're gonna see which shoes are the best. I'm thinking it might be these guys.
It wasn't my $400 Nikes, instead it was the $100 Asics. They were quite comfy, but light, and they had a nice flat sole to make stepping a lot easier. And now this is where things started to get crazy, because at the speed that I was going, if I were to do this would be my new personal record. Several months ago, I actually tried this challenge, and I did 6.5 hours, but at a much slower speed. And as you can see here, I was struggling. My hip flexors and knees got so tight that every single step I took was excruciating, but it gets worse. About a year before that, I tried again. When I did it that time, I went for 8 hours straight, but at a much slower speed. About half of the speed that I would need to do for the world record. And not only did it kill my legs, but when I got home that night, I actually thought I was gonna go into cardiac arrest. When I was lying in bed that night, it took me 6 hours to fall asleep. I was lying there, and if I would even move in the slightest, I'd feel a sharp pinch in my heart because there was so much adrenaline going through my system. It was really scary. But flashback to day 5, and I was cruising past the 4-hour mark, then the 5-hour mark, and the 6-hour mark, and I beat my personal record. But by the end, I was feeling pretty sore and tired. And this was only about a third of the world record, with about a week of training left to go.
I did 6 hours and burned almost 5,000 calories, and you'd be excited to know that this is my 9th liter of water for the day. 9 liters. I don't even know where they all went. Probably all over my shirt. 10th liter of water today. I've never drinking this much in my life.
So then this is where I decided to get hypnotized. On day 6, I started driving up to meet the hypnotist, Wayne Lee, which changed everything, but then something happened which really kind of sucked.
Alright, right now we're just driving down to meet up with the hypnotist. hypnotist. I've never been hypnotized before, so I don't really know what to expect, but this should be really interesting. I'll show you exactly what happens.
I was surprised to learn that he only lived about 3 hours away, so it wasn't too far of a drive. However, when we drove up, we were literally 4 minutes away from his house when this happened.
Okay, come on, come on. Don't leave me now. My foot's like, it's on the gas. All right. Oh wait, no, it's going, it's going, it's going, it's going.
Pull right here, because this one will be like the...
All right.
No bueno. I think you're done.
Oh boy, how are we getting home?
It literally died and never worked again, so we left it in a parking lot and walked over to his house. You've already seen this part, but later that night he invited me out to a performance, and this is a good time to explain whether or not hypnotism is actually real, because this might surprise you. If you think hypnotism is where you could make someone believe or do anything you want, like some sort of black magic or mind control, then you're right, it doesn't exist. What hypnotism actually is manipulation, a form of dark psychology, which sounds bad but could actually be very good and quite powerful, and oh, you've also been hypnotized. All it is just a very clever way of using what we know about human psychology to convince someone or even yourself to believe something. Our beliefs dictate how we act. And just like how a bully can call someone small or stupid until they actually believe it, you can actually convince yourself that you are stronger, smarter, or better than you actually are. And the catch is that what you believe actually creates some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy which makes you more likely to actually get there. Someone like Wayne uses very subtle and clever tactics to guide someone into believing what he wants them to believe. However, his form of hypnotism is overwhelmingly positive, where he guides people to become better versions of themselves, and now guiding me to break a world record. So you can see how important it is for me to have to believe that I can actually break this record if I'm gonna do it.
This is my sister who just drove 3 hours to pick me up because my car died.
Thanks, Jaden.
Say goodbye to the car.
Peace. We love you.
Okay, let's fast forward. We're gonna do 10 hours on the Stairmaster.
And don't worry, the car is no longer in the parking lot. We didn't just leave it there. It's been taken care of. And the next day, I took another day off to rest and stretch.
These are all the supplements that I'm taking as I train for this world record. So these are the pre-workouts that I take. And today is an off day for caffeine, so I'm gonna take this.
And on day 8, I was going to attempt going 9 hours straight, beating my previous record that I set 3 days ago by 50%. On top of that,
This is 10,000 calories.
and also that day I decided to try a challenge that is so hard apparently 99% of people fail, to try and eat and burn 10,000 calories in a day. However, there was another thing that you may have already noticed that made it way harder. And this is where an absolute miracle started to happen. Whether it was the stretching or the day off or the hypnosis, I started to find it way easier that day. Also, as you can see, I had a lot of these snacks called bear paws. Out of all the snacks I tried, they were the easiest to eat, so I got a lot of them. But the thing that made the 10,000 calorie challenge way harder that I haven't really talked about much is the amount of water that I needed to consume. You see how much I'm sweating? I was literally going through 1 liter of water every single hour, which meant I needed to consume around 10 liters or nearly 3 gallons of water that day, on top of 10,000 calories. I finished the 9-hour run on the Stairmaster and actually found it easier than the 6-hour run on day 5. And my plan was to do another 10-hour run before the actual record attempt in LA.
We finished 9 hours. Let's go.
And the reason I was going to LA is because we had a studio set up there with the Stairmaster that would allow me to go for up to 24 hours straight if need be.
Just a reminder, the public will close in 5 minutes at 6 p.m.
Open and close. 9 hours and 3 minutes. 3,250 floors. 7,500 couch. Holy crap. We gotta eat more. Cut to the food. Okay, so I lied earlier. The 10,000 calories that I showed you at the beginning was actually 9,000 calories, and we're going out for food, so I can finish up the 10.
But I still had a ton of food to go through that day. I had only consumed around 6,000 calories when I finished the 9 hours on the Stairmaster, which meant I still had to eat another 4. So I went out for dinner, and also since they didn't have bear paws in LA, I needed to buy a couple for the trip. The next day I packed all my stuff and flew down to LA. I got there on day 9, and on day 10 I was planning to do a 10-hour run, but this is where I ran into a problem.
What are you doing, Tyler?
Just putting on some KT tape. Getting ready to do a 10-hour run today. Light work. 10 hours on the Stairmaster. It's like a warm-up set. Alright, I guess that Planet Fitness was closed, so we're heading down to another one. I don't think they're open all day, so I may not be able to get the whole 10-hour run in, but I'm gonna go there. We're determined. We're gonna get something done. We made it. Open till 1 p.m. That's, wait, isn't it 10?
11, 12, 1, you got 3 hours, buddy.
3 hours? Oh my goodness. Okay, we're cranking this.
That day was the 4th of July. I'm from Canada, so I didn't realize how big of an event this actually was, which meant pretty much all the gyms were closed, and the only one I could find at the moment was open for 3 hours, which meant I could do a 3-hour run. So I decided to make the most of it and at least step up the speed. I was going way faster than I would have to do for the actual world record attempt, and by the end of it, I was exhausted, which actually really started to mess with my mind. I wanted to do that 10-hour attempt so that I can show myself that I can go past the halfway mark, because keep in mind, I still needed to double my personal record on the day of this challenge. The actual record attempt would be in 2 days, and I didn't know whether it'd be worth it to try a 10-hour run the next day or take 2 days of rest.
I had that on its max speed for like the last like 10 minutes there. And then at the end, I was gonna turn it up to its max for the minute. I didn't realize it was on its max. I was doing the max for the first like 30 minutes too. I did 20,000 steps in 3 hours. That's a lot of steps in 3 hours.
I decided to let myself rest, so I enjoyed the 4th of July and just took it easy until the day of the actual world record attempt.
All right, we're doing a cold plunge night before the world record. I know this thing's cold. That is nice. Oh, that's nice. All right, we're beating this world record tomorrow. I don't know how many times I've said that. It's gonna happen.
And as you might have guessed, on the day of the world record attempt, I was feeling kind of nervous. I would need to at least double what I did in practice. But I knew that if I wanted any shot of doing this, I would have to remain positive. Convince myself in my mind that I was able to do this. So I headed down to the studio where we would live stream everything. And yeah, I live streamed everything this time. So if you don't believe it, if you think it's cap, you can just go on the channel and see for yourself. In my head, I was telling myself just to get to the 9-hour mark. If I could do 9 hours, then I could do 10. And if I could do 10, I could do 11. And that's enough to do the whole world record, right? However, on live stream, it was very different than practice. Normally, I would just put on my headphones, listen to music, and drown the world out. But on live stream, I had to make it interesting. We brought on guests, and I had to talk to them. We had a magician come up onto the Stairmaster, and I was literally performing magic tricks with him. It was really difficult to try and hold conversations and be able to think of things while also keeping a world record pace on the Stairmaster, and by the 6-hour mark, I was exhausted, but I told myself to make it to the 9-hour mark and then see what happens. However, when it got to that point, it didn't get any easier. As it got late into the night, I was feeling tired not just from the Stairmaster, but also just from being awake for so long. I would get off every hour to eat and go to the washroom, as well as get my vitals checked from a medic to make sure that I wasn't gonna die or go into cardiac arrest or anything like that. But those breaks, as fast as they were, really started to add up. If every single hour it was taking me 10 minutes, after 6 hours, that's another hour added onto my time. Eventually, I hit the 18-hour mark, doubling my previous record in time, but because of the added breaks, I wasn't even close to the world record yet. And at the 18-hour mark was the point where I actually felt like there was nothing left in me. My body was completely rejecting food. Those bear paws that I liked so much were absolutely disgusting to me. I wasn't even able to eat them on the Stairmaster anymore. What I ended up doing was taking a few and mixing them with water and having to chug them down in between my breaks every single hour. And I wasn't even able to keep up with the amount of calories that I was burning. I was trying to drink as much water as possible, but my stomach was so full, I physically couldn't anymore, which meant I was barely sweating. I was out of water. But I knew I hadn't come this far just to give up. There's always more in you than you think.
The whole process of hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I have to do this.
Yeah.
And there's a level of certainty that comes with that, like, that is already there. So I want to just reinforce that. You just finished an amazing feat of a plank where you broke your record. You are now feeling elated. It's a big success. That translates into the next world record that you're going to be breaking here. You're feeling excited, you're feeling optimistic, and you're feeling you have to do it. And those words, you have to do it, come to you throughout the whole time period that you're going to be in LA. I have to do this.
20-hour mark. How you doing, Tyler?
How do I look?
Yeah, you look pretty dead.
I'm gonna do it though.
Yeah, you are.
I've done 20 hours.
Yeah, bro. What's 2 hours? Like.
Exactly. Actually, I'm done. All right, I'm going home.
And whether I've been hypnotized or something, I've always believed that people are just scratching the surface of what they're capable of. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do something that I didn't even think was possible for any human on Earth a year ago.
I want you right now just to imagine yourself feeling as though you've just broken the record. But I want you to feel the sheer joy burning into your brain that you're already the person that has achieved it, that you know it's going to be done, You have to do it because you're already the person it takes to do all of this and beyond.
And after 22 hours, 46 minutes, and 44 seconds, I did 108,000 steps, beating the current world record.
Hey Tyler, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling exhausted, but the next video is gonna be even crazier. I don't know what it is yet, but it's gonna be even crazier, so subscribe.